My wife cheated on me with our 17-year-old gardener. I never imagined I'd be the kind of man who would pour his life onto an anonymous forum, but something about anonymity feels safer than the silence of my own house. Maybe strangers can see what I can't. Maybe they can tell me which choice hurts less in the long run. My name is Steve. I'm 34 years old, a corporate office worker with a predictable routine and a badge that beeps me into a building made of glass, steel, and quiet competition. My days are filled with meetings that blur together, coffee that tastes burnt no matter where I get it, and a constant pressure to be useful. I always thought I understood exhaustion, until this year taught me a new definition. My wife, Angela, is a housewife. We've been together for 5 years. Not perfect years, but stable ones. The kind of relationship people describe as solid. We met before life hardened us, married when we still believed love was enough to carry anything. For the most part, it was. The only thing we never had was children. That was my fault, or at least my body's. I still remember the doctor's voice, neutral and careful, explaining infertility like it was a technical malfunction. I remember Angela squeezing my hand afterward and telling me it didn't change how she felt. She cried that night, but she told me it wasn't because of me. I chose to believe her. We talked about adoption, about focusing on each other, about building a life that didn't revolve around something we couldn't have. I thought we had accepted it. So when Angela told me she was pregnant, the world tilted. She stood in the kitchen, sunlight coming through the window, holding a pregnancy test like it was sacred. Her eyes were red. Her smile trembled. For a moment, I couldn't speak. I reminded her, gently, of what the doctors had said. She nodded and said she knew. Then she whispered, "But sometimes miracles happen." I wanted to be grateful. I wanted to feel joy without fear. And for a while, I did. I let myself imagine a future I had buried. I went to work distracted, smiling for no reason. I caught myself looking at strollers when I walked past store windows. I thought maybe life was finally giving something back. But miracles don't come with secrets. The first signs were subtle. Angela became oddly guarded about details. She avoided discussing timelines. She insisted on attending appointments alone, saying she needed space to process everything. She started correcting me when I mentioned dates, like she was afraid I'd accidentally notice something she didn't want to explain. Then there was her phone. She never used to hide it. Now it was always face down, always locked. Notifications silenced. If I walked into a room unexpectedly, her hand would twitch, small, almost unconscious. But it happened every time. She'd smile afterward, too quickly, and ask if I needed anything. She also changed how she treated me. She became excessively affectionate, overly attentive. She cooked my favorite meals more often, asked about my work in details she'd never cared about before, touched my arm when she walked past like she needed reassurance that I was still there. At first, I told myself it was the pregnancy, hormones, nesting, anything but the truth. And then there was Joe. Joe was our gardener, 17 years old, quiet, polite, always respectful when he spoke to me. He'd been coming by for months before any of this started. I barely noticed him, just a kid with work gloves and dirt-stained shoes. But Angela noticed him. She started making sure she was home when he came. She dressed differently on those days. Nothing extreme, just enough to register once I started paying attention. She laughed more when he was around. Once I came home early and found them talking in the backyard. There was nothing clearly wrong about it, but the way Angela startled when she saw me made my stomach tighten. Joe couldn't meet my eyes. I told myself I was paranoid. The night everything collapsed was quiet. Too quiet. Angela was in the shower. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Once, then again. I didn't plan to look. I swear that. But the screen lit up with a name that didn't belong in our bedroom. Joe. The message preview was short. "Did you tell him?" That question echoed in my head long after the screen went dark. When Angela came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, humming softly, I felt detached from my own body. We sat at the kitchen table hours later, the sky still black outside, and I asked her directly. No accusations, just one question. She collapsed. She cried so hard she could barely speak. She told me it started with conversations, that she felt lonely, that she didn't plan for it to happen, that she never thought she'd get pregnant. Every sentence felt rehearsed, like she'd been preparing for this moment without knowing when it would come. Then she told me Joe was 17. That was when the room felt unreal. The baby wasn't mine. That if anyone found out, her life would be over. She said she could go to jail. She said the baby needed stability. She said I was the only one who could protect them. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I just listened, feeling something heavy settle inside my chest. Now I lie awake every night next to a woman I don't recognize, weighing silence against truth. I don't know if I'm capable of pretending this child is mine. I don't know if I can live with destroying everything either. I never asked to be part of this story, but now it's all I am. So I'm here, asking strangers for advice. Because right now, I don't trust myself to know what the right thing is anymore. What would you do? Dear subscriber, if you have a personal story to tell and ready to share it with our community in the next video, please write us. Our email is storytimelounge320@gmail.com.